Don't you know we all cheer for Madness Day today?
Hello, lovely viewers and beautiful listeners of the Onwards to Victory podcast. I am here inside a very well-appointed storage container supplied to us by the beautiful Maddie Gray. Shout out to Maddie Gray and Kat Gray. We love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Now, one of the artists at Adelaide Fringe, the one you like the most, the one with the most fabulous haircut and the spectacular vascularity, he's right over here to my left. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the other folks. Yeah, everybody. If you got ears or eyeballs, this is the show for you. Please make some noise. The fabulous and incredible Mr. Damien Warren. Hey!
G'day, hello. It's
I got to
Damien Warren Smith is the fool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I press
That's
that
it.
whenever I fuck it up. Damien Warren Smith. Hey!
Hello.
I don't think we'll edit that. It's nice.
I think it's nice as it is.
Yeah,
The
people-
mistakes
Yeah.
are what make it.
Well, it's hardly my fault. We were already talking before how mysterious you are.
Yeah.
People don't know your phone number. They don't know your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also because it's not my performing name.
Well,
So,
yes.
One of the reasons that I have the stage name is that when people come up to me on the street, they're like, "Oh, hey, Gary, how you going?" And I have no idea who they are. I don't feel
Yeah.
bad because I'm like, "Well, you don't know who I am."
You don't know who I am
that's
either.
fine.
Yeah. Having a stage name for that. How long has Gary been around?
Garry Starr. So when I came out of clown school, I was with a clown troupe called the Plague of Idiots, and we toured around. There's about 5 of us, toured around for a few years, and I was the MC, sort of boss clown character. To begin with, they just called me Monsieur, and then we worked with a director ahead of one of our Edinburgh Fringe seasons, and he kind of said, "I think you need a name," and I just went Gary, and then and he's like, "What about a surname?" And I went Starr. And then my friend was like, "You should give yourself 2 R's." And I was like, "Why, Gary or Starr?" And he's like, "Both." So that's how Garry Starr with 4 R's came about.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
nothing more to it than that.
That's really, it was literally a 2-minute conversation.
Yeah.
They said, what do you want to be called? And you say, well, you always say Gary.
Yeah.
Our trolley's named Gary. Every prop that we have in
Really?
our, yeah.
It's called Gary.
Well, whenever you don't have a name for something, you always just say, oh, it's Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was reading something recently, or someone sent me an article to say that like 0 children christened in the last 12 months
Yeah.
have been called Gary.
Yeah.
It's completely gone now.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I met an Indian guy the other day, and his name's Gary, and he was a young guy, and but he said that's his Western name. So
Yeah.
so some people are still choosing the name Gary, but maybe like people who don't necessarily know that it's kind of outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's a great joke name
Yeah.
because everybody is using it for, their toaster or their, what I mean, at least it's going to be always in people's consciousness.
yeah.
People are always talking about Gary. You never stop talking about Gary.
So many people think it's my real name.
Yeah, a lot. Well, this is something, and we could get into this. This is really interesting. You're pretty, solitary guy. When you're not on stage, you do spend a lot of time, in your self-awareness. You're out there yogaing, you're camping in fields.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a dumb phone. Yeah.
I
You're all like-
disconnected I can't remember when it was. I think when I first went to Gaulier, actually, when I went to clown school, I remember I didn't have a smartphone then.
Oh, really?
I think for a long time I knew that smartphones were not good for me because of the way I am.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
get distracted very easily. So I got rid of smartphone. Got rid of a smartphone. I stopped drinking. All these kind of things that I noticed were not good for someone who has like cyclical moods like I have. So I got rid of them all, and it's kind of inevitable that if you're not reachable, people don't reach out to you as much. And so at the same time, I just kind of drifted into obscurity. And also then I discovered that I was way more creative. I was writing. Like last year, I churned out 2 new shows. And I'm sure
And they're
that's because I
bangers.
went 8. Yeah, both
Yeah.
of them went really well in Edinburgh,
Yeah.
like big hits. So I'm sure that's because I spent 18 months without a smartphone and just gave myself time to dream.
It's kind of a leap of faith in the current industry, right? Where everybody's like, you've got to have your social media guy and everyone's got to be, you got to be responding to everyone. And you can go, oh, well, I'm just going to fade off into the background and just hope that the stuff that I make is fantastic enough when I present it.
Yeah.
That everybody goes, oh, yeah, that guy.
Well,
yeah.
this is, I think
Which is what happened.
I think it's a bum steer, this idea that you need to be on social media to be successful. But the question I would ask people is, do you want to be well known or do you want to be really good at what you do? And actually, I think that the time and energy you're spending creating content, managing your social media is actually taking away from your creativity.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
creating in order to receive attention rather than paying attention in order to create. And I think they're completely opposite. And I think that the less time you spend on social media, the better you will be as an artist.
Mm.
And that's why I think that it's actually, it's actually detrimental.
I mean, when you spell it out in black and white like that, it's definitely true.
Yeah.
The more time that you're spending, scrolling or just having your brain taken up. I mean, if you've got one of those brains that's always thinking, that's always creating something, and you do get very easily distracted, it's amazing. The tiniest thing can send you off on this crazy tailspin.
Yeah.
And you can waste, sometimes a week, 2 weeks just mulling over something completely trivial.
And it's the little downtimes, I think, that we fill with smartphones. Like if you're sitting there at a cafe with your friend, whatever, they get up to go to the loo, you get your smartphone out. That little bit of downtime added up. Those are the moments where you dream. Those are the moments where you come up with ideas, where you start to solve little things that have been going on in your head, and we fill them with technology.
Yeah.
We're giving our attention away, and people are making money from it. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what's that thing Bo Burnham says? It's the new colonialism. They've already colonized all the land, and so now they're just out to colonize everyone's attention.
Our minds,
Yeah. But the boredom thing, do you go looking for places to be
bored?
So that your brain can just unpack itself?
Yeah, always. Yeah. So this is why, when I went camping to make this show that I'm doing now, Classic Penguins, I went camping. I just took a bunch of books with me.
Yeah.
I didn't have my smartphone, and I had a little a 360 camera, so I could actually record myself. And then when I got back to civilization, I could edit it and post it so people could see what I was doing.
So all the sausages could see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would always look forward to those. They were great.
But while I was there, I didn't have any distractions at all. I'd get up in the morning and I'd meditate, make myself some breakfast, have a coffee, and go for a walk, and then just start working. And I quite often would try and camp by a river or something like that. I had all the Penguin novels out on a table, then I would just throw ideas around.
You're hiking, driving around?
No, I was driving, yes.
Driving.
In my car.
Oh, because when you're touring, yeah.
Yeah, and I would sort of grab props along the way. I had an idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of, it's quite a bit of waste, actually. I think about some of the things that I bought. I was certain that I needed for the show.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, God, I don't need that anymore. So they went to charity shops. But
they probably came from charity shops as well, right?
Yeah, a lot of it did. Yeah.
You're driving through.
Because you can't order stuff from Amazon when you haven't got a fixed address. I've done it so many times. I've ordered something thinking, okay, that'll arrive by the time I reach this person's house.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's not there. You're like, well, that's gone.
Yep. Never seeing that again.
Yep.
Yeah. I know that one. You go, you're trying to find some address to send mission critical items for the show.
Yeah.
So how many books were you traveling with?
I think I bought 100 to begin with. So I went through all the Penguin books. And first of all, I made a list of the ones that I thought would be really fun to poke fun at.
Yeah.
Some of them were because
some of them write themselves.
The story
right?
is great. Some of it's just because the title is funny.
Yeah.
It's really great that Garry can misinterpret or misunderstand the entire concept of the book, or he can just get the title wrong. Like Moby Dick is literally just him playing Moby's porcelain and slapping his penis around. Why does it need to be more than that?
It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that.
No,
folks.
Wind in the Willows is farting in a willow tree.
Yeah.
And then some of them some of them are slightly more intelligent, but not a lot.
Oh gosh. Yeah. The ones that are the creepers, because you can see folks in the audience that figure them out, slightly earlier than others. That was super fun to watch.
Yeah, I love it. I love some of the bum steers in that as well. Or the red herrings. That's the red herrings.
The old bait and switch and throw them at, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is peak Damien at this point, right? I mean, this is what you'd be wanting to do. I mean, if you could wave a magic wand and say, okay, I want my life to be structured like this, you pretty much doing it? What
I would say
what else do you
career-wise,
need?
yeah. I mean, personal life-wise is another story, because it's really hard to maintain friendships, relationships, and everything when you're touring as much as I am.
Tell me about it.
It's really tricky. And I'm on my own too, so it's not even like I've got a core group of friends who I can travel with. Quite often it's just me in a hotel room somewhere. I'm starting to get a really good team of people behind me now, though. So like my manager and producers that I work with, who I have got that constant, at least communication with, if it's not. But as far as seeing my family and seeing friends goes, it's hard. But I've chosen it. I've chosen to do this, and I don't want to step back from it now, because things are really like snowballing in a beautiful way.
We could get into that if you want, because I know what you're talking about. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
just I don't know myself as well. I was touring for 305 out of the 365 days last year, and yeah, you're always missing somebody.
Yeah.
As soon as you start this traveling life, you're always missing somebody. And sometimes you're missing fewer people than other times because, you know, we all get together in one place. But you still don't necessarily get a chance to connect with people.
Yeah. And if it's, you know, and if it's like a relationship, it's on the one hand, it's so wonderful having someone to miss. But on the other hand, it's so much easier when you don't have someone to miss. You know?
Oh, yeah. And the pressure on them that's missing you, you know.
Well, because I think it's an exciting lifestyle to begin with for some people who you meet who don't quite understand what it is that you do, and they're excited by what you do, and then the reality really sinks in, and they're like, oh wow, I'm never going to see this person. And I think also for some people anyway, it's hard to watch you being adored by people. Do you know, I think some people find that hard, whereas other people really love that. They're like, I love watching people adore you, but you know, like I kiss loads of audience members in my show. Yeah. And usually people have been fine with it, but one or two, you know, people who I was seeing were kind of like, you know, you could see they weren't that comfortable with it.
Well, because they'll say, well, I don't want to dull your sparkle. I don't want to dull your sparkle. But, you know, they'll say, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But you can see those sort of, those cracks when they're not really okay. And you want to make sure everybody's okay. But it is really hard to have that. I'm sorry. I might be getting a little. I've gotten through some of this stuff myself.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking
Let's
about.
unpack this, Magnus.
Oh God, yeah. I'd love to
tell me about
this.
your relationships.
Yeah. In the touring world, you know, there's if you're out there and you're kind of a charismatic, touring-y, show-busy individual, and people get attracted to this glitter, and then they find out, you know, that you're a substandard human being on the inside, and then they'll either go, oh, well, this is, you know, that's kind of fun. It's nice to know they're flawed, or they'll go like, ugh. Yeah.
I have a rule which I am constantly breaking, which is that I will never date someone who's seen me perform initially. They see me perform, somehow we meet, or they reach out to me on social media, because then it's like you said, you just see yourself gradually diminish in their eyes as they realize that you're not as exciting as your character.
God, that's a really good rule, and I'm not surprised that you're breaking it all the time. Well, because that's got to be, at this point, that's got to be 99% of the people that you see,
that you meet, because they're either other artists who you know them all by now anyway, or they're the general public, which is like why actually when in my downtime, because I think the nice thing about only being well known through live performance is that in order to not be recognized, you just have to go somewhere where you've never performed live. So I've bought a place on the south coast of New South Wales because my family are near there.
Oh, sweet.
I've never performed anywhere near there, so no one has a bloody clue what I do for a living. And I'm just a dude who they kind of like, who's this weird single guy who just like comes to the cafe every day.
Yeah,
you know, no one knows.
Just shows up every couple of months and buys a bagel, and
it's not a secret. Like if people say, "What do you do?" I say, I'm a performer, but I don't really dig any deeper than that. I don't tell them what my character's name is, because the nice thing about having a character name too is that even if they see your name somewhere, they're less likely to be able to. Although I think nowadays people talk about Damien just as much as they talk about Garry Starr online, so it'll come up with both. Yeah.
Well, you know what that is? I think now that you're like at this level of success that you're at, there's a thing that I've been noticing when people are talking about you or about your shows, that people are kind of dropping it in as like a cred thing. You know?
It's like I know his name.
Yeah, I know his name. Yeah, they're like,
that's funny.
You say, oh yeah, man, just see the new Garry Starr show. They, oh yeah, Damien. Yeah. Like, oh yes, you're very cool.
People,
okay.
A bit like pronouns. It's kind of like Garry. It's actually Damien. Oh, sorry, Damien.
Like they're going, yes, I'm in the know. Yeah, I'm cool. Dig. Well, if that starts happening, I mean, they're gonna erode your anonymity. How are you gonna go camping with koalas now? You'll have all these landowners going, oh my God, Garry Starr.
I never really did it to be anonymous. It was more, and I even actually, when I first did my show, I would say afterwards, like, thanks for coming, my name's Damien. And then my director at the time was like, I think you should just keep the mystery. And that's all it was. I just went, I don't tell people because I think they get excited. Like they love
Oh,
Gary.
yeah.
They've just fallen in love with Gary for an
They-
hour.
People really
They don't want to
yeah.
be told that it's a lie.
If you would finish up the show by going like, doing that break and saying, that was all a show. Hi, I'm Damien.
Just ruins
Diminish
it,
in
doesn't
their
it? Yeah.
eyes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've just seen an hour of
Might as well just
curated
spit
fabulous.
in their eye
yeah,
or something,
like,
you know?
Haha, all your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just like you, flesh, blood, bagels. Yeah. It's an interesting one to grab with. I don't have to do that because I've just been, Magnus since forever.
Yeah.
But all my friends that have stage names and get to,
People don't know you as Christopher, do they? Hardly anyone knows
No.
your name's Christopher.
in fact, nobody,
Yeah.
not a single person. I managed to keep that under wraps until
Yeah.
now. Thanks a lot. Jeez. No, well, I can bust it. My birth name was James.
Oh, really?
James
Okay.
Anthony Magnus. But nobody called me James since I was like 5 years old. Everyone
Interesting.
always called me Magnus.
Yeah.
So it was 1 year, because I can't fill out forms and go do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had a partner in the past who gave a present to me for Christmas 1 year and went and did all the bureaucracy necessary to change it by deed poll.
So you actually are now
yeah.
Magnus.
Oh,
by
yeah, it's on the
default.
passport and everything. Yeah. So you
Right.
go in there and then they say, well, what do you want as your middle name? And I'm like, oh, you get a bonus? You get a middle name?
So what is it?
Yeah, it's Danger.
Oh, it is really
Yeah,
danger.
it's
That's
really- yeah,
so-
yeah. I thought, oh, that's fun. Yeah. In your downtime, you're a fairly gregarious guy.
Yeah,
It's
don't
not like
really-
you're an introvert or, but knowing that you can have that time to your own brain and
Well,
let it,
But I had to
Go
learn
nuts.
that. I think I really had to learn to do less. I think I was.
did it feel like a sacrifice
no,
when
God,
you're
no,
doing
it's,
it?
It's been a huge. It's been
Yeah.
a huge weight off my shoulders. It's not feeling. I think I have to. Well, I don't know. I don't think it was ever a conscious decision to be less extroverted. I just found that because I am like blowing my brains out in front of an audience like every
Yeah.
single night, that I
Yeah.
just wanted to spend some time on my own. Really, and now actually, I think. Because I think that one of the things they say the difference between extroverts and introverts is where you get your energy from. How do you recharge?
Right.
And so now I do need to be on my own to recharge.
And that's something you learnt?
I think so.
It didn't used to be that way?
But it also doesn't wear me out performing. So
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
I think I get energy now from both being in front of an audience and being on my own.
Wow.
So I've just got excess
really
energy.
is
I'm going to
peak
start putting
Damien.
it back into the grid
Yeah.
and earning money from it.
Oh, yeah, you get extra if you put it in early in the morning and
Yeah.
at night. Yeah.
Well,
Perfect.
I do definitely do late at night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in the mornings where I'm an early bird.
Ding.
The tricky thing about me performing so late, because I always perform late at night, is I'm an early bird. So
You really are an early
which
bird,
is
aren't
so
you?
crazy because it means I have to have a nap every day.
Wait, do you have a little siesta? Are you a
because
siesta
because
guy?
I wake up at like 5 or 6 in the morning and I'm performing until like 10 o'clock at night. So I don't get to sleep until 11. You know?
Yeah.
So I have to have a little nap.
Oh, you should just do what I do and just do 5 shows a day and then, sleep once a week.
Sleep.
Yeah, it's pretty
sleep between
handy.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you have some, do you have any kind of, brain diagnosis or something? Is it just things you learned about yourself and how you operate as a brain?
Yeah, so when I was in Vegas, I was doing a show in there just before the pandemic, and I noticed, and I was really, really, really unhappy, and so I was seeing a psychologist, and she said to me, it might be worth going and getting a diagnosis
Right.
because she said she thought I might have ADHD.
Mhm.
So I went and saw a psychiatrist, and they diagnosed me with cyclothymia or bipolar 2.
Oh,
And
wow.
they put me on medication, which I didn't. It just made me kind of anxious. Then the pandemic happened, and I left the US and went back to Australia, and I just never bothered to get any
fill
more
the script,
medication.
yeah.
But I think that I noticed that I was able to curb the sort of the highs and the lows by making some lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that medication is not a great thing for some people, but for me, I don't drink anymore. I have a smartphone now, but I don't use it as much. I try and eat well and exercise. And if I do these things, then I don't get the highs and lows in the same way.
Right. Is that like if I've got this if it's bipolar 2, it's like the cycling is less rapid or
It's less
it's about-
it's the frequency. Well, I think the more extreme the bipolar, quite often they're they're further apart, but they're more extreme.
Right.
So I think they're closer together.
Yeah.
And cyclothymia, which is what they said is quite fast.
Cyclothymia. Wow.
Yeah, it's a cyclothymia disorder.
Cool.
I think that might be the American thing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you know, the fact that there's like 1, 2, and 3 is like there's not a clearly defined.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get a sticker and then be like, make your way. Yeah, I'm working. But actually, one of the things that I found out was that like full blown bipolar is quite often something that people who are diagnosed with cyclothymia early on can develop. So if you don't manage,
right.
the whole spectrum, it's very, and I mean, there's loads of statistics thrown around, but I read one that said 70% of people who are diagnosed with cyclothymia develop full-blown bipolar disorder. And the best thing to do, like later in life, is to make changes to your lifestyle, which basically help you to manage that. And so that's my main reason for doing all the things that I did.
Human beings aren't supposed to live like this. You know, the way everybody's going about and getting mad in traffic and things like that.
Yeah.
It's not very good. And if you do discover that your brain does work a certain way and you put some effort into that kind of self-awareness, the dividends are humongous.
Yeah.
If you
gotta
can just
find
go,
the hacks.
none of this matters.
You got to find the hacks that kind of, and I go to some really extreme measures. So like when I'm touring, I know that there are certain things like dopamine hits, which I will go to if I start to feel low, and if and then I will overdo them, which will send me down, you know, or like even on the way up. And so things like, you know, scrolling on social media or even like, or, you know, drinking, stuff like that. If I can remove the accessibility, I don't worry about alcohol anymore because I don't even really think about it. But going to my computer and just like, you know, doom scrolling on something, or even just like, you know, just flicking from web browser to web browser is another thing. If I can get rid of technology, then we'll get bored, but then I'll come out the other end and I'll go for a walk and I'll read my book or I'll meditate. Yeah. And so when I'm on tour, I can't have my computer not in my bedroom because I'm in a hotel room. Yeah. And so I would get a padlock and I'd padlock my computer and then I would take the key down to reception and I'd say, oh, my friend Joe or whoever is going to pick this up in the morning. And they go, okay, great. And then I'd get back to my room. And then in the morning, I'd go and get the key and go, oh, did you? Oh, I didn't get the key. So I couldn't actually open my laptop without going down to reception and asking for the key. And then I went a step further. Then I got a digital lockbox, which is designed for a packet of cigarettes. Yeah. So I just dropped the key in there and you would set it. So I'd set it for like 12 hours. So I put my phone and my laptop in the bag, padlock it, drop the key in the thing, set it for 12 hours, and I could not access them. So I'd do that, you know, at 8 o'clock at night, and couldn't look at any technology till 8 in the morning.
I mean, I guess the next step is to swallow it.
Yeah, right? Swallow it, then wait to people out. Yeah. Well, that was obviously that was the first thing I tried.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I was telling people this, and someone said, "You obviously don't have any self-control." And I'm like,
"What?
That is self-control.
Yeah,
that is me controlling myself.
Yeah,
I just know the distance that I need.
Yeah,
like it's like, you know, dangling a chocolate bar in front of your mouth and trying not to eat it, as opposed to not buying a chocolate bar. Yeah, you know, both of them are forms of self-control. It's just to do with the distance.
I'm just talking about this, about the nature of willpower with somebody else. We're having a big psychology chat, and the nature of willpower, and it's not. If you're not doing something that you should be doing, or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, it's not necessarily. Willpower is a resource that you use up all the time doing all of the decisions that you make. You know, you have these decision fatigues, and as you go along, but just putting things out of your reach, that's a great way to make sure you've got all of this extra bank of willpower to do things.
It's so great. And not like you said, like, I'm not very reachable these days. And so people know that I'm not going to respond. Like, quite often I'll just leave the house without my phone. Yeah. I'll go for hours. But I know that there are certain people who, you know, who just kind of know. They just know not to expect an instant response from me now. Yeah. So I just disappear and I love getting lost. It's the best time in the history of the world to get lost because everyone has a smartphone. Yeah. So you just go up to anyone and be like, "Hi, I'm lost. Can you tell me where this is?" They're like, yeah, great. It's like the best time to not have one.
There was a great bit of that. When you in Turkey?
I was in Qatar. Yeah, I was in Qatar in the Middle East, and I just went for a walk. I left my hotel and I went walking to find some lunch. And I said, "Do you have an English menu?" And the guy was like, "Oh, we don't have a menu." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "You scan the QR code." And I'm like, "Well, I don't carry a QR code scanner." You know? Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, can you just tell me what's on the menu?" So this guy had to come over and scan with his phone and read the menu to me. Yeah, and then it was kind of like, it's just so.
Oh man.
Yeah, a lot of places are doing this now. They just don't have menus.
Yeah.
But the worst argument is, I went to a cafe in London, and they were like, "Yeah, we're trying to be, aware of the environment." And I'm like, that every time someone's scrolling on their phone, they're burning CO2, right? If you printed a menu on an A4 piece of paper that was reused by like dozens of people,
Just laminated.
it's gonna be, even if it's even if you
Forever.
printed new ones every day,
Yeah.
that's gonna be better for the environment than asking people to scan a QR code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one has to bring in a tiny little electronic box full of refugee children and
Yeah.
palladium and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I want to get into the other thing because we touched on it a couple of times, but the drinking thing, because I got stuck. I'm like at 19 months or something like
Oh,
that.
congratulations.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was yeah.
It's
Cheers.
gin, yeah. It's
Oh,
gin.
dang. It's a huge difference. And I
Yeah.
really thought I was going to miss it. Like, really, because I was using like booze as medicine for a really long time. And I thought for sure this is going to be super hard and I'm going to miss the hell out of it. But it really is. And I don't want to go telling anybody. I was a bartender for a lot of years and I really like, the culture behind it. And I still love making people drinks.
Yeah.
But it's some people just shouldn't be drinking, and you got to
Yeah.
figure out if you're one of them. And I'm definitely one of them.
And you become really aware when you start drinking all of the kind of the mythology around it.
Oh,
Like,
tell me about
and
it.
hearing
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like describe it. Like, I get that, that there is a sommelier is a very important and prestigious job title,
He
but
used to be
it's
one of
also
them.
just like it's also just like a justification
Yeah,
to take a drug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
Yes,
kind of like, you've
it is.
built this whole song and dance around.
Yeah.
If that was non-alcohol, there's really nothing that's non-alcohol or not a drug that people get that obsessed
Yeah.
about. Like, you see
if there was
people
a
obsessed with
ketamine
coffee.
sommelier or something like
Yeah.
this particular horse tranquilizer is a very good year. You will
Yeah.
disassociate. This will be
Yeah.
great. Yeah, but alcohol gets a free pass on a lot of things. I mean, this is stuff that's been said before, but it is when you break it down black and white, and when you're not drinking, you go, oh, it really does come into sharp focus about it.
Yeah.
So what's in this specific thing about the no booze-atarium world? Is this just like you forever now? Is that just a decision you made?
Maybe.
Or?
I don't know. I first stopped drinking when I was 29. And I did
Wow.
it for 3 years.
Dude.
And then I would sort of, I've been what people love to call sober curious since then, where you're kind of sober for a bit, drink for a bit. And then it was
Yeah.
a kind of a gradual back and forth. But this time I haven't touched a drop in about a year. But I would quite often have weeks, months, off in between. So I never say never, because I think it's very unlikely now by this point, because I've had enough of them to be like, I just love the fact that I never have to worry when I go out now
Yeah.
that I'm going to drink too much.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
feel absolutely horrific for the next few days, which was what it was. I was never a regular drinker. I just would drink far too much and then make terrible decisions.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
have
boy.
to live with it, So it's like I would just much rather
Can
go
relate.
to a party and
Yeah.
not have that, because it's exciting when you're going out, you get that buzz, you're putting some nice clothes on, and there's a little part of your brain that goes, I really hope I don't do something stupid. But now I'm completely accountable for all of my actions, and I'm like, I know maybe the buzz isn't there in the same way, but it's a more smooth. It's very much like the cyclothamia. I've just smoothed out the edges.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't enjoy myself
Well, like
as much.
a lot of, I don't know, a lot of the buzz for me was kind of with that thing in the back of your mind, like, are you going to do something stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your lizard brain going to take over and you're going to hear tomorrow that, you've set your life on fire? Yeah. Or maybe, or it might happen. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
But not having to worry about that, yeah, that's been a big deal. It's not like I'm the Zen master monk living in the woods like
Yeah.
you are.
Oh,
but,
I'm definitely not
yeah.
that.
Well,
No.
you've got like
I have ambitions to be that, but not
Yeah?
there yet,
so when we're talking about peak, Damien, that's the ascent that you still want. So if we had a nice like touring buddy relationship
Yeah.
and further Zen monkery, yeah. There's not a lot of Zen monks with girlfriends.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know any Zen monks.
Yeah.
But I also don't know any Zen monks with girlfriends.
Yeah.
But that's probably because I don't know any Zen monks.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you see.
So the
I
Venn
know people with
diagram is-
girlfriends. And
I've heard there are, yeah. Zen monks are people, though. I mean, that's data set, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I don't go. We're going to need a mathematician for the rest of this. You said career-wise, things are going very well, and I can't help but notice that is definitely the case. Yeah, and everyone. This is the thing, is that Garry is really, really liked by artists
Oh, that's good.
as well.
Yeah.
Is that? Well, I suppose
think
I have
so,
to say it.
yeah.
You're not allowed to say that, I guess.
Yeah.
I have to say it for you, and then you go, oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's because it's there's a lot of if you're artists and you're watching like Classic Penguins or like Grease Lightning before it was, there's a lot of the craft in it, and it's really fun for artists to watch. I mean, there was when you were doing when Classic Penguins was first going on, it was last year.
Yeah, just
Here,
work in
last year.
progress here.
Yeah, when your work in progress, and we had this, there was a fantastic showing of it, and just there was so many of us artists in the audience going like, "Oh yeah, it's new Garry Starr. You want to see this new Garry Starr thing?" Yeah. Do you get to bounce that off other artists when you've got your idea and you're like, "I'm
Yeah.
writing this new show"?
Basically, whoever's in my life at the time,
Yeah,
whether it be family members or a partner or friends, I explain my ideas to them, and if they laugh at the explanation of the idea, then it gets banked, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll keep that in.
Okay.
So I'm like, in this scene, this is what's going to happen. I tell them, then this is that, and if they're laughing along at me explaining it,
yeah.
so quite often my work in progress is my early ones, are me actually explaining what's going to happen to an audience. I go, yeah, so when I do this scene, like when I do it for real, this is what's going to happen here, and I'm going to have this thing which like descends from the heavens, and then I will do this, and then people laughing at me explaining it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's got legs. And then quite often you realize that you don't need the big elaborate thing. You just actually a lot of
Right.
it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
you explaining.
Well, that's there was a lot of that in your show in Grease Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that great and all the malapropisms that that Garry is famous for. This Garry giving a TED talk and just absolutely screwing up.
Yeah.
all-
And I think there's less of that now in Penguins.
I know. Yeah, I
I
noticed
think there's
that.
more in early on because my director and I actually had a discussion with my first show because I'm so like high status because Gary's kind of like, he comes on as this Shakespearean
yeah.
actor. We're like, how can we let people know very quickly that he's actually an idiot? So he's
Ah.
high status but low intelligence, and so we would use the wrong words.
Yeah,
And so, I could be saying something really highfalutin, but not using the word falutin,
yeah.
Philippe.
Hi,
Hi,
Felipe.
Philippe. No, yeah, hi, Philippe.
Yeah.
But just getting the words wrong, and so you could still be really like earnest and sincere, but the audience are like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah,
But then I think I found his voice now, and I found that no one is ever going to think that I'm anything but an idiot now, so I don't have to use as
well,
many
I mean,
malapropisms now.
the original reveal kind of, that cements it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't have to put a lot of extra icing on that cake.
Yeah, and then I
when
can
it
just be
gets-
really pompous because I'm actually playing a high status character, but I'm not wearing any pants.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's what. See, it's
Yeah.
about letting them know early on that even if you're playing high status and
Mhm.
sort of pompous,
Mm.
that you're actually not. And so the malapropisms were a way of doing it early on. Now it's the fact that I'm wearing a tailcoat,
Yeah.
and a top hat, and no pants, and flippers.
How much of the window dressing while you're driving through the country and you go, I'm going to go buy a baby at that, at that op shop
Mm-hmm.
because it's for this bit. What kind of window dressing? What window dressing? What am I saying? But what kind of additions? How important is that to you? Like when you're forming the props and the setups and the
Well, I
the
think
stage
they're
blocking.
actually really important, the props and stuff, because there's a few times where I've tried to do a gig without my props and my costume, and sometimes it's gone all right, but I think I just really enjoy the props, and they bring me a lot of joy. Basically, anything that makes me happy and that I have fun to play with,
Yeah.
and that there's a justification for it. If the audience can see why you've got that thing. If you've got something and there's no context, then it's just kind of absurd.
He is a prop comic.
But
yeah.
but if you've got something and you're explaining why you've got it, and the audience can see that that's the wrong thing,
Yeah.
but they can see why you think that's the right thing.
Like
then
a
it's
visual
endlessly
malapropism
enjoyable.
again.
Yeah. So, but I try. I mean, I think I've got less props in this new one, but I've got more set. But actually, prop-wise, it's the lightest show I've done. But there's more set now. So I've got a chair and a chest of drawers,
Yeah.
and, a bookcase and a trunk.
Oh yeah, I
So-
heard you got a bookcase now.
Yep, got a bookcase. Bit of
You
money
really
into
are
it.
successful.
Yeah, when
Holy
you can
shit.
travel with a bookcase, that's when you know
What?
you've made it. Yeah.
Hey.
But then when I go back to London in June, we're actually going to go into the rehearsal room to like supercharge the show. I'm going to add 10, 15 minutes onto it. So it's going to be like a 70-minute version, which can actually then go to theaters independently of the festival. And
Wow.
Sort of, yeah.
Boy, and are you getting a big old like full-on set for that?
I don't know at this stage. I think
Yeah.
we don't want to make it more difficult for ourselves to travel, but we want it to look expensive enough that when we play, Broadway,
Yeah, of course.
then
Yeah.
then,
6
you know,
weeks.
it fills the space,
It's. I mean, you just imagine it in your head as this kind of masterpiece theater, kind of sort of Alistair
Yeah.
Cook in the big chair.
I'd like a library. I'd like books. I'd like to be surrounded by books, and like one of those ladders that slides along.
Yeah, the library ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah. This kind of dark academia setting.
Yeah.
There is this juxtaposition of this naked idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just to go back onto what we were saying too before about like putting the time into making the show versus putting the time into raising your profile.
Oh yeah.
I think that because I was saying that the more time you spend on the show, the better you get it. And some people have said like particularly early career artists, they want to know, how do you market your show? How do you sell your show really early on? And so I say to them really tongue in cheek, the best way to sell your show is to make a really, really good show.
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it will sell itself.
Yeah.
And I honestly think the way of doing that is to give yourself time to become really good. And don't rush. Like, I think people are like, they want to make their first solo show in their 20s and they want to be like, they want to be famous. You're like, people are not they're not going to really want to come and see you until you've really got something to show.
Yeah.
And that, I think it can take time, and that's totally fine.
I mean, the whole point of this is to put on the good shows.
Yeah.
It's just something I talk about in when people ask about, if you're full-time fabulous and you're like, oh yeah, I eat food because of this. Yeah. And people would ask, how does it work? How do you get money doing this or eat a food? And being able to talk about it like a meritocracy, it's a kind of an unbridled meritocracy. You can try and subsidize it, and you can try and fiddle with it, and you can try and stack the chips one way or another. But really, at the end of the day, no matter what you do, it's either
It's good or not.
it's good or it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
people
why-
aren't going to keep paying for
Yeah.
something that is not good.
Which is why I think like arts funding needs to be revisited. And like there's been lots of versions of this around the world, but the way that arts funding is dished out is to people who can write a good arts funding application. But all the
Yeah.
people I know
Yeah.
whose work I find interesting can't even do a tax return. So, like they need to rethink
Yeah.
this because
Yeah.
I see the people constantly getting funding and I'm like, your work is not as interesting as so many other people out there. And so I would much rather a system where a lot of artists' basic needs are met. So how can we get some kind of a universal basic income? So I know that my rent is paid, I'll have food on my table, I can get around, I've got healthcare, got all this stuff, because we can make work for very little.
Yes.
And then the arts funding people need to be going to see all these shows that we're all making,
Yeah.
see something that's great,
Mhm.
and then go, I want to help you make this bigger.
Yeah.
That's how it needs to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like, because it's the grassroots, we're missing out on so many like young artists doing well because they just can't afford to be doing the festival circuit because they need to pay rent.
Yeah.
pay
I mean,
bills.
they can't. Then how are they going to develop a show when they have to be at Nando's in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Of course.
And I would love. I know a few countries have tried. I know France has got something that they're trying, and they had a few other schemes which was specifically for artists. But I think we need to find a way of allowing artists to go off and do nothing for a while. And the fear is that everyone thinks that they'll waste it. They'll just be like, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to be bums. It's like, yeah, but maybe that's what they need. Like, because that's the process that they need to go through to create something really brilliant.
Yeah.
And if they're okay, as long as they know that they will not fall through the cracks of society, they may come out the other end and do something brilliant.
I could not agree more. I mean, wouldn't that just be fabulous if there was some, I mean, you're talking about universal basic income, but just imagine the kind of amazing stuff that would happen if some of the people that you knew could just wave a magic wand and be like, okay, here's your rent and your, cans of tuna and your noodles and whatever sorted out for 6 months, and all of that bozo boring stuff it disappears, and you can just sit and think about, and at the end of this, what sort of a show are you going to have?
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, that kind of just all ties back to what you're talking about, is you have to go get bored. You have to let your brain unplug from a whole bunch of other things.
And maybe it's not the same for everyone, but I certainly know that a lot, like, I talk about this with a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I recognize that."
Yeah.
But so many people are now trapped in their phones. They're trapped in the cycle of like needing to raise their profile, and I would still question whether or not having a lot of followers translates to live audience. I know there are some people now who sort of popped a bit on social media and they've got the followers, but they're not necessarily. Those people are not necessarily buying the tickets, and they're not necessarily becoming better performers from making that content. You know, because there's definitely instances of people who were like, TikTok famous doing a live show, and it's just the most painful.
See them.
It's like, you don't know how to hold a crowd. So I think we need to forget about it and just go off and get really good at what we do.
Yeah.
Become really good at what you do, and then people will find you, or they won't, but you haven't wasted your time because you've been doing what you love.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that is, it's probably not universal, but a lot of people would need to do that, in a little gang, in a little artist gang. Some people need to just go off and live in the wilderness. But the idea that you're talking about, I got to tour with Adam Savage from the Mythbusters for 2 weeks last year, and this is exactly. He was talking about, I don't know if I'm going to out him as a big commie pinko, but backstage we were talking about this, and he's 100%. I think there's some kind of movement going on here. We could arrange so that people can just have a UBI, and I get, oh man, we get all this politically stuff, but I guess the worry that people have is that it's just this sort of squander, and we're just going to be subsidizing laziness. But if the new currency was creativity, if the new currency was, you're standing amongst your peers, if the new currency was putting something into the world that's fantastic, that people would strive for that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be lovely? What a lovely world.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about a universal basic income is that even so, whatever amount of money that I'm getting, the CEO of, bloody Commonwealth Bank is also getting. So they can't then look at you and be like, you lazy bum.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you get the same.
You're getting it as well.
But I mean, I don't know what that does to the economy. Because the arguments to say that then everything will just get more expensive. But then there's also arguments to say that it won't. That actually it's possible that it will work, you know?
I mean, there's lots of smart people that say, well, but I'm not an economist. I just blow things up and natter. I don't know. But it does sound like it's definitely got merit.
Well, and even if we can't find that, because my fear is that, I mean, there are definitely times over the last, so 2018 I made my first solo show. Before that, I was doing Plague of Idiots for a few years. There are times in that period where if my family hadn't stepped in to help, I would have had to walk away from doing this and just get a regular job. And I'm definitely don't come from a wealthy family, but it just so happened that there was an inheritance at one point because someone passed away, and then there was another time when a family member was able to be like, "Okay, I'll get you out of this hole." There are a lot of people out there who don't have that, and so they wouldn't be here doing what we're doing. Yeah, and so the fringe festivals, it costs a lot of money, and it's a risk that some people simply cannot afford to take. Yeah. So if we can't do it universally, because Australia, I think the fringe festival scene is like is the only way we've really taught most Australians to consume culture.
Right,
They will.
right.
They outside of festival, they would just go to watch the sport. But for some reason, if you put up some tents in a field, they'll go and see some
and
theatre
sell
some
some beer
comedy.
in the corner. Then people will come along and see
So
titties and jokes.
How can we make it so accessible? I mean, we do. That there are definitely fringe grants and stuff like that. But I just wish there was like a really base level that you could do all of the festivals on, no matter who you were. It was open access, that you could not lose money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that exists or not, but all I know is that there were times when I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't had family members step in, which makes me think that particularly like, people who come from a lower socioeconomic background just are not going to be here. And these are voices that we want to hear. Like, this is like...
Well, oh, yeah. I mean, it's the artistic equivalent of the cure for cancer could be locked in the brain of a 9-year-old girl in Calcutta, right? Who needs an education. We got to hear all of these different people and find out what they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a really big deal.
And like Edinburgh Fringe, which is like the Olympics of art,
Yeah.
is unaffordable for pretty much everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an open access festival, and there are ways of doing it on the cheap, but
I mean, even if you go to the free Fringe, it costs a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. Even just getting there, like the train to Edinburgh, is expensive.
Oh, and then oh my gosh, like this year, what is it? U2 and some other
Oasis are playing.
Oasis are playing at the same time as the Fringe, so
Which
all
is
of the artists are going to be
insane.
living in tents in the park because you can. Yeah, the hotels. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Imagine staying in a hotel for that. There are people who go to the Edinburgh Fringe and stay in a hotel.
What? Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But our boy Richard over here stayed in a cupboard for a month. Yep.
Well, I'm when I was in Edinburgh one year, I met a girl on Bumble, and this is outside of the festival. I was up there doing a show. We went on a couple of dates, and then we kept in touch. And she said, "Oh, let me know if you come back to Edinburgh." And so when I formed the Plague of Idiots and we went to Edinburgh, I messaged her like, "Hey, I'm coming up." And she's like, "You can stay with me if you want. It wouldn't be weird." And I was like, "Oh, look, there's going to be 5 of us, so we kind of want to get somewhere together." And she's like, "You can all stay with me." So she put up all 5 of us in her 1-bedroom apartment for the whole month. She was a lawyer, and she'd get ready and she'd like, "Morning, everyone," and she'd get ready for work, and we'd be sleeping on the kitchen floor.
Oh my God!
On the couch, everywhere. And she's put us up, and she was so lovely.
Wow!
Yeah, shout out to Nicola.
Gee, nice work, Nicola. Christ, I got to get on Bumble. Holy mackerel. Boy. Yeah, it's nuts staying in Edinburgh. For anyone who's not gone and done the Edinburgh Fringe, you have some folks, texts and things, like you go and hang out at the artist bar and hear these stories. People sleeping in chandeliers and shit. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they should get some kind of billeting system going. I'm sure there are people in Edinburgh. There's an unofficial way of reaching out, but I'm sure there are Edinburgh residents who have a spare room who would billet an artist.
I think Bumble is the unofficial billeting
it
system.
is,
Yeah. Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder is the unofficial billeting system in Edinburgh. Yeah. You know those arts people. Yeah, you know what they're like. Yeah, jeez.
We're easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they're always, okay, well, brings us all the way back around because you're always touring, and you're looking out for, you can have very big connections with people and then have to leave them behind.
Leave them behind.
Yeah. And no matter how much you talk about how this is kind of who I am and how this works, and they'll go, "Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I love your sparkly thing. Go be as you could be." And
this works for some people, but like because I was talking to a woman recently who and she would tell me that she just kind of had a guy who she would see in each city, and it was all completely open, and she would say goodbye and then move on. I can't do that. I'm a kind of one person in my life.
Yeah,
and so that makes it hard because if that person's, I met someone in London and I'm going to be away for 7 months. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah,
you kind of have to put it on ice because.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay. What do you do? I'm seriously, I'm looking for advice here. I'm like genuinely looking for.
Yeah, me too. So let's go looking.
Do you put it on? Do you put it on ice? Do you maintain contact all the time? Do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's new every single time.
Right.
You kind of It's an as and when. I think I always thought there was an end to my touring, and this is the first time that I'm going, it's ramping up.
Yeah.
And I actually see now that already we're booking like US and Canada tours for 2026. now.
Hey, nice.
So it's like,
Congrats.
okay, so now I actually have to, because quite often beforehand I would almost make promises, be like, yeah, I think you're really great. I'm going to stop touring. Yeah, maybe I'll come and live here.
People
where
are going to
you
get sick of
you
me
know?
really soon.
But now I'm like, because I was only ever lying to myself, really. But then,
yeah.
But now I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be touring now for a long time. So
There's somebody else's heart involved.
yeah,
And so, oh man, there's so many things you're talking about that are just resonating with me that I just feel guilty about.
yeah. Well, I'm 43 now, so I'm kind of accepted the fact that it's gonna be.
Hey.
I always thought I would have kids, and now I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, what does that mean now? It's like,
Oh yeah.
because I'm gonna be definitely touring until at least 45.
Wow.
And then maybe beyond that, if my body holds up anyway. My ankle's fucked at the moment, so
Oh yeah, you've been injured.
yeah.
How'd you do this? What's going on there?
Well, I tore my calf muscle about 5 months ago on stage, and then
What were you doing, you silly sausage?
I was kicking grapes. And then
What do
it
the
just-
doctors say when you
it
tell them
just
things
threw-
like
You just don't tell them. I just say I'm a circus performer because I need them to know that my body is important,
Yes.
but I don't want to tell them exactly what I do. It's like, I'm the circus performer. It's like, oh, okay, great. It's really important what you
if
do.
you tell them my body's important and then you tell them how
Yeah.
the injury happened, they'll go, well, if it's so important, don't do that stupid shit. Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
kick grapes.
Yeah.
Uh,
They just threw up a whole bunch of ankle issues from when I was a kid because I used to play so much sport. Like, so I was always
oh,
rolling.
you're a
this
sporty
ankle.
kid?
Yeah, well, I always kind of thought that's what I wanted to do because my older brother was sporty.
Uh-huh.
But it was very clear to everyone except for me that I was not destined for sport.
Yeah.
I was destined to be a performer. I was like,
Right.
no, I want to be a sports person. I was like, no, David, you're far too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's, what's that line? I'm not sure I can get away with this because I'm not Ruben K, but yeah, Ruben's got that line, the performing arts. It's like, it's sport for, yeah.
He's too scared to say it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
What does he say? Sport for poofs? Sport? I can't remember. His delivery's much better than this,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah. But it's that, it's just the flip side of that, sporty coin.
Yeah.
You're out in front of the
it
people.
it's a sport in the sense that if you don't train and you don't, if you don't train, then it's
Yeah.
you're probably not going to be very good come game day.
Yeah.
I think that, especially now that I really start to take it more seriously, particularly because it's my physicality. So if I'm not regularly going to the gym and now swimming, I've started swimming now. Yoga, I've been doing now for 23 years, like on and off, and that's what's allowing
seriously?
me
Jeez.
to keep doing what I do into my 40s because I honestly don't think I'd be still doing it if I wasn't doing yoga.
Man, I got to get some yoga. Okay, yoga and Bumble. There was a third one. Oh, yeah, borrow money from your family. Got it.
There you
I
go.
man, I've gone down that route before and yeah, feel bad. It's really nice to have some sort of modicum of success nowish. I'm very lucky. Oh my God, I'm so goddamn
Yeah.
lucky. But yeah, those times in the past where, you got somebody to bail you out and it's, boy, oh boy, I can totally understand how people would just throw the towel in.
and
I
there's
know
certain
we're
people-
going back around over
Yeah.
something with
But
territory
there are
we've
certain
already
people
dealt with.
who would just never even consider doing this because of the risk involved and the upfront costs.
Because
mean,
some
that's-
people it just terrifies the shit out of them just that
Yeah,
you're up there in the first place.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what drew me to it.
Right.
Is the fear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's what drew me to clown. I saw a clown show and I was like, "What is this?"
oh
And then
yeah.
I did some workshops and I was so shit. I was so unfunny. I was like, "This is exciting." So I kept doing it until I got good at it. Yeah.
I mean that's meta as heck. So you're going, okay, I'm going to be a clown and I'm not going to be funny. Oh, and the fact that I'm not funny is really turning me on to this.
Yeah.
Man.
Because the
Oh.
first time that you actually make an audience laugh by doing something really silly is like crack. You get up there
Yeah.
and you do something, people laugh, and then you just like do that silly thing again and they laugh again. And then you realize that if you just do the same thing but in a slightly different way, they keep laughing. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is like a superpower.
I am seeing already just I don't know if it's part of your like neural pathways going off, but just that thinking face, the
Yeah.
Garry thinking face that
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just
Yeah.
see the audience just hanging there and watching you have. What's that thing? Buster Keaton says the audience loves a slow thinker. Yeah,
Oh, I like that.
is it good, isn't it? Yeah,
Something happens and you kind of.
yeah.
And always, I mean, this is kind of a rule that, when I'm teaching clown, I say to people, it's like, if you do something and people laugh, first of all, you have to look to them to let them know, and then you have to do it exactly the same way again.
Yeah,
You can't vary it at all. You do it exactly the same way. And if they laugh again, then you can start to change it.
right.
You know, so if it's me, if I do this and someone laughs, and I'm like, so I do it exactly the same way, and they laugh again, so then I can start to play with it. You know,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, it's such a simple thing, but
Once you establish a pattern, that whole
you
pattern,
break it,
and then
yeah.
break it, and then break it until it's broken into a million
Yeah.
different pieces.
and then keep going.
That's what really turns you on stage is the silly.
It's the fear.
Yeah.
Oh, not
right.
anymore. It's not the fear anymore. It's like I
But
just
you must
have
have
love
trouble
to
chasing
play.
that now. Like, when do you get the
Yeah.
fear now?
No, nothing really scares me now.
Mm.
Yeah, really. This
It's
is
weird,
the
isn't
great
it?
thing about clown is that
Yeah.
it's like nothing scares you
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, I mean, and also like getting. I'm in the Naked on Stage alumni. That's one of those things that people go, well, that must be the scariest thing.
Yeah, and I think the very first time I got naked, just
Mm.
before I took my pants off on stage, I was a little bit scared. And
Yeah.
from that moment on, I've never, ever been frightened.
Don't even think about it.
So I'm
yeah.
playing to people, it's like, it's
Yeah.
just ripping off a Band-Aid. And now,
Yeah.
because I have, well, I don't want to give too much away, but I have these dancers come on at the end of my show naked.
Yes.
And quite a lot of them have never been naked on stage, and this is their first time. And they've all said to me, they're like, it's such a rush. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I've
wow.
been allowed so many people to pop their cherry now.
I didn't know that. I figured everybody who was involved. I'm like, I don't want to do spoilers or anything, but being able to facilitate other folks getting naked on stage. I figured everyone had at least done it before.
Because they've got masks on it, so it's like the perfect way.
Oh yeah.
It's the end of the show, which means the audience are like are loving it by that
Yeah.
point. You come on in a mask with
They
your
get a
bits
very
out,
warm reception.
do a little dance, and then you
Yeah.
get a standing ovation on a
Yeah.
good night.
Yeah.
So it's like, what a great way to
Yeah.
pop your cherry getting naked on stage.
Oh, actually, yeah, that is the perfect way.
Yeah.
You've really set that up for these nice people.
Yeah.
Oh, how many of these cherries have you popped in this regard?
Oh god, there must be half a dozen now. I think.
Oh!
That I know of. Some people also there are some people who come and dance who I don't get to meet beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got like the producers kind of like
I've heard-
lighting it up, and so I see them on stage for the first time naked. I see the bits before I see their face.
See,
Like,
oh, there we,
hello.
oh man, talk about forever diminishing in your eyes.
Yeah.
That you can never date anyone that you see naked before you see them with clothes on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, they can't complain now, can they? They're
No.
like, when we get to the bedroom, they're not gonna be like shocked. They're like, we've seen it all. Before.
Wait a second, what the heck is that? You knew what you signed up for. Hey,
Yeah.
man, is this fun? Are you having fun? I have
Yeah,
fun with
yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get to talk about, well, like I said, we get to go on some rambly things, and I've never got to sit down and talk about UBI. When were we going to get a chance to do that?
Why are more
Yeah.
people not talking about universal basic
Yeah,
income?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I definitely didn't. That's not what I thought we'd be talking about today. But
Oh man,
yeah.
man, we could talk about any.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just bust it out. Your favorite animals. We could do a bunch of that standard, like interviewee kind of things.
Yeah, well,
But
penguins now. It's got to be
Mm.
penguins now.
Is penguins?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you know penguins don't have penises?
get the fuck out of here. Oh wait, no, they've got the cloaca scenario.
Yeah, it's kind of a little sort of a pouch, like a cup kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they would have. Okay.
I've not seen it. I just, yeah.
Well, okay. So they have birds. They got the cloaca or cloaca, or whatever, and it's just everything comes out the same orifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if they're penguins, I mean that stuff's gonna freeze.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
must have this
That's
little.
what I was thinking. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
stick something out, it's going to freeze off, isn't it?
Yeah. So they've got a little like semen pouch.
Semen pouch. So they're basically all scissoring, like.
But they haven't got any legs. You're gonna be scissoring when you're just feet. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. What else? Someone else told me something about penguins recently. I can't remember what it was.
Oh.
It's an interesting fact.
Actually, that's got to be. Do people now just come to you with
Oh, yeah.
random
Like, people
penguin
tag
facts all
me
the
and
time?
stuff. They
Oh, of
tag
course
stuff.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't get. So basically, I can't look at social media, but
Hmm.
I use like the business manager. So people, when they tag me and comment, I get all the stuff.
Right.
I just can't see what everyone else is posting, which is
Right.
like the best way to do social media.
Yes.
Oh,
that is fantastic.
So I still get tagged in all of these things. There's anything about penguin, a fact someone's doing a penguin. There's something about Benedict Cumberbatch can't say penguin.
Oh,
Says
yeah. You must have been
penguin.
Yeah.
So I always get constantly getting tagged in Benedict Cumberbatch posts.
Like once a week, you get to see the Benedict Cumberbatch footage on whatever talk show going penguin.
Yeah. And
Boy.
anytime there's a photo of like penguin books as well, the orange spines,
Oh,
any kind of
right.
display, I get tagged in those
Yep.
as well. So I like it though. So
Yeah.
anyone out there, don't stop tagging me in those. But
Yeah. Keep on. Man, I love getting random facts all the time. Oh, have you got any other? Oh, have you got any other penguin? That's crap
okay,
for me.
here's
I want more penguin facts.
okay, well, this is not an actual penguin fact, but when I was doing the show in London, the people from Penguin Random House came to my show.
Oh,
And so the front of house told me before the show, they said, look, there's a group of about 6 people from Penguin Random House in. Because the show is called Classic Penguins. And
Yeah.
they do all the penguin books. Anyway, so at the end of the show,
oh yeah.
I said to the audience, look, this could be the last time I ever do this show. And the audience were like, what? They were like, boo. And I said, no, because the people from Penguin Random House are in. They're like, what? And I said, where are you? And the group of women over to the side, I went, woo. And one of the women from the group had been up on stage for like the most like intrusive moment, I will say, in my show. And she was involved. She volunteered for that. And so I was like,
okay.
oh my God, that's great. So I said to them there in front of everyone, I said, so am I going to get sponsored or cancelled? Or, they're like, no, you're fine. Anyway, so she comes and talks to me later. The woman who got up on stage is the head of brand for Penguin Random House.
Whoa.
And she says to me, she's like, look, I'm the one who actually decides if we ever send out a cease or desist notice. She said, I just want you to know that you're completely safe.
Oh my God.
We love it. And she said, the only thing you'd have to maybe look out for is like the title treatment I use is the penguin logo.
Oh,
She
right.
said,
yeah.
we could pull you up on that, but she said, for now, just run with it. So I've had the blessing of
Oh my
Penguin
God,
Random
that's
House.
what an amazing story.
Yeah, and I've
Holy
got
crap.
we filmed it that night as well, so I've got something to hold over them as well.
Oh!
Like they come and like, well, you did this to me on stage,
Man, but the fact that it's not just the penguin people, but it's the like head of branding,
yeah, head of brand, yeah.
dude. Oh wow. Well, I mean, you're golden now.
Yeah, well, we're fine in the UK anyway, and I think in Australia we're fine. When we take the show to the US, because they love to sue people there, don't they? I think-
Yeah, they're quite a
I think
litigious species.
I think most Americans wake up in the morning and think, who can I sue today?
Yeah.
You know?
God. Well, these bed sheets are a bit rough. Right.
Yeah.
Call my lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do like suing people, or cease and desisting and stuff. But is that a whole other legal kettle of fish? Have you ever had any of that stuff? You
No,
ever
I
have
haven't
any
had
legal
any
problems?
issues
stuff?
so far. I mean,
Yeah.
I've not.
Have the nation of Greece come at you for your previous?
Haven't come at me, no.
Okay.
I
don't
did.
mount
I had
Olympus?
people come at me a little bit in Garry Starr Performs Everything because I say I'm going to do every genre of theatre. And one of the things I did was a Japanese no mask, and
Ooh.
and every Japanese person who came and saw it loved the fact that I was taking the piss.
Mm.
But then, of course,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
all us wonderful white people decided to write to the theatre and say this is cultural appropriation. To the point where
Yeah.
I was kind of like, people that's like, oh, look, don't be silly. I've
Yeah.
spoken to plenty of Japanese theatre makers, and they were like, oh no, you need to do this. If you're going to claim that you're going to do every single genre of theatre and then you only do white European theatre, that's more offensive. I said, we want to see you take the
absolutely.
piss out of no.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where people in the audience were kind of like gasping when I would do it on. Usually,
Wow.
young people going, oh, I can't believe you're doing this.
Yeah.
So I lost the joy with it, so I had to stop doing it.
Yeah, it's no
So
fun.
I didn't. Yeah, that wasn't like me being threatened to be sued. That was people
Yeah.
getting like, this is inappropriate. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Jeez. Oh, that sucks.
But no, my biggest fear is with the new show is that someone's going to be like, oh, I didn't know about the nudity, or like,
Yeah.
it's so clearly labeled.
Yeah.
But also because I do a kids show now as well.
Oh yeah.
I've got
You got
another fear,
monkeys.
and I still wear the Elizabethan ruff in both of them. Is that someone will take some footage and be like, "Can you believe this is a kids show?" And they
Oh, right.
either deliberately or like legitimately get confused and think that.
Have you had people deliberately? Oh, I mean, I guess everybody wants to manufacture some outrage because it makes them more
I've
interesting.
not had anyone
Yeah.
we've not had any negativity at all. The only
Yeah.
in the whole time I've been doing all of my shows, only once did I have someone come up to me afterwards, and this is at Melbourne Fringe, and say like, you should have made your warnings more clear. I brought my mum to this, and it was really uncomfortable for me to sit there and watch this. I was like, oh, are the warnings on the website? And they were like, well, yeah, but they're down quite low. Yeah, I think you should have it in the copy, like in the actual. I'm like, I'm allowed like 120 characters to sell my show. The website has an area for content warnings, which it has them on.
Yeah.
Why would I also then, while trying to sell my show with 120 characters that I have, choose to say, by the way, what's it said earlier? And they were like, well, I just think you should be clear. I was like, okay, thanks,
Well, the end of that story is, what did the mum think? I mean, this is
the
another
mum wasn't
person
there at this point. This person obviously had to come over afterwards. I think the mum probably had a great time.
She probably had a fucking wonderful time, and
This
it's
is
just
the
somebody
kid who was
getting
like,
offended on her behalf.
Yeah.
All over.
We love getting offended on people's behalf, don't we?
Well, I don't know. That is definitely one of those social media things. Like, I don't know if people got their hearts in the right place, or they're just bored, or it makes them more interesting. But it's just kind of scary that like you said before, if you can go talk to a bunch of like Japanese artists, right? Or, just Japanese people who are like, hey, yeah, I'm so glad you're doing that. It's so great to be included.
Yeah, because it's highbrow. Like it's a highbrow thing, and it's like the most Japanese people probably couldn't afford to go and see a production. So to be tearing that down is actually a really a beautiful thing.
Well, look at this, naked white guy.
Yeah,
he's making fun of the same stuff we would be making fun of. Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of a bummer, but I don't know why that is. People get offended for other people. We could get totally into this.
And also because we are like, particularly back to social media too. We live in an echo chamber that we believe that everyone absolutely believes what we believe, and so when we come across someone who believes the opposite, we feel very within our right to tell them that they're wrong, because we know that they are the only person who thinks that way. Because everybody believes me. And I've just noticed that more with young people, and I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it's great to be active and trying to, promote change and everything. But it's like you've just got to allow people to get it wrong sometimes, or to understand that maybe your point of view is not 100% what everyone believes.
Well, and being able to change hearts and minds with, honey, and if somebody's believing some wackadoo stuff, don't be mean to them.
Yeah.
Don't be mean to them. Help them out. Be nice to them and go, hey, look, here's I'm going to give you a nice vaccine. You'll be okay. This is good for you. Be nice to them.
Well, I think a lot of people who fall down the conspiracy, theorist rabbit hole are actually highly intelligent people who just happened to find a community and then kind of use their intelligent brain in the wrong way.
Yeah.
We're actually losing people by telling people they're wrong. We're losing people rather than going like, that's interesting, unpack it for me. We're going, you're wrong. And then people are going, well, if you're going to turn me away, I'll turn to people who say I'm okay.
That's a fabulous rounder off there. He's talking about having intelligent, talented people who wind up in a community and wind up using their brains in the wrong way. I think we're kind of
us,
many people could say that about us. Hi. Let's talk about your. Hi, Damien. You went to French circusy school.
I did. I went to a clown school in it's a theatre school in France.
It's prestigious.
Yeah, it's run by a guy called Philippe Gaulier, who has now retired because he had a stroke recently, I believe. So the school is still going, but other people are teaching on his behalf. But he's a notorious kind of like quite aggressive, kind of like mean teacher who would be like, no, you're not funny, get off. He hits a drum and tells you to get off the stage. As a result of that kind of cruelty, he's actually brought out a lot of really amazing skill and beauty in a lot of performers. He taught people like Sacha Baron Cohen, and Jeffrey Rush, and Emma Thompson, Helena Bonham Carter. Some really, really great performers have trained under him. And and he had this little school. Well, he still has this school just south of Paris. And you go there and you learn theatre. But he's most famous for clown. And so he does the first year there's a short clown module amongst other things like le jeu, which is like the game, neutral mask, Greek tragedy, Shakespeare, characters, Chekhov. You do all that. Clown is one of them, Buffon, and then the second year is just divided into 3 big chunks, and you do clown, Buffon, and melodrama. I'd already been to drama school and worked as an actor for a long time and done quite a lot of clowning, so I just went and did the second year clown, the big chunk, and then went back and also did a few picked and chose a few things from the first year, neutral mask, Greek tragedy, le jeu. But yeah, a lot of people go and just do the full 2 years as their original drama training, and I think it's a bit of a shock to the system.
Oh wow, out of nowhere.
Yelled at or belittled in the way that he does. But I think this kind of via negativa, which is the way that he teaches, is rather than sort of cuddling everyone and tell them how great they are, which is what a lot of institutions might do. Yeah, he just constantly tells you how shit you are.
Right.
And I think for me later in life, well, I say later in life, I was in my late 30s when I went there. It was great because I'd performed enough to know that I was good enough, so I didn't worry that when I failed time and time again that it was because I was a failure. I was just like, I'm learning something new.
That's the best time to go, isn't it? I mean, once you've figured out that, hey, I'm not dreadful at this, but you're also in this position where you go looking for feedback, and all you ever get from people is like, "Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, you're great." And you see a lot of that on the fringe. You see some shows. You're like, too many people have told you that you should be doing this. But also, he used to say that this is not a great stepping stone for them. But it's more when people are going time and time, come back time and time again, and you're like,
well, that's the best. I mean, you chose well there. That's the best time to go. You've got an idea of what you're good at. And then he'll come and hit you with a stick and tell you how crap you are at this other stuff. Well, is that this is very broad, but when you leave that experience, does it leave you improving certain aspects, or does it leave you knowing you should concentrate on others?
Well, it took me a long time for it to sink in. I mean, I finished Gaulier in 2013, 24. 2013 was when I did the clown module. And I didn't create my solo clown character till the end of 2017, early 2018. So it's quite a long time for me to process.
Pre-Plague of Idiots?
Yeah, so that was Plague of Idiots was between that. So I graduated Plague of Idiots then. But I really wasn't clowning in Plague of Idiots. I was the boss clown, but it took a while for it to sink in. It's not always really obvious, because I think the thing that he teaches you is that the funniest thing about you and the way in which you are funny is also quite possibly the thing you're the most ashamed of about yourself. If you have a physicality, a vocal quality, a personality trait, which people notice, like when you enter a room, but you become aware of that and you find a way of giving people permission to laugh at that thing. Oh yeah. You become endlessly powerful and unique. Yeah. Rather than this is how you be funny in this way. It's like, how are you funny? What is it about you that people want to laugh at if you give them permission? Which is also a huge catharsis. Like, what a release.
Massive.
To be like, when
you're no longer afraid of looking foolish, you are indestructible. Yeah. And you can use that as affirming. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Man, I mean, that's a fairly heavy philosophical stuff. Just, it's supposed to be song and dance and doing a bit of theater. Just
you got to get through the dark shit to get to the light, though, don't you?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. We can get into that. I don't know if people are ready to all talk about staring into the abyss and laughing into it. Yeah, but man, oh man, that's some of my favorite stuff. What are you gonna go do after this?
I'm gonna have my nap.
Oh, it's siesta.
Yeah, it's a little bit after my nap time, actually. It's usually about 3 o'clock my nap time.
We've kept him past his nap time, folks. Jesus Christ. Look at this beautiful face. We have to keep this looking fabulous. Well, Damien, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
This is so fun. Because gosh darn it. Man, I love to ramble. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Oh, I got to do this big sign-off thing now.
Okay, you do that. I'll wait here.
Okay. Just move the mic down a little bit so people could just see. Oh, look at that. Jeez, look at the bone structure on this son of a bitch.
I got shaved yesterday at a barber. And
the barber did it?
He went, this is going to be hard. And I was like, why? He your chiseled jaw. And he says to me, I much prefer a fat man. It's just like shaving a circle.
Fat man is easy. Yeah, done. Oh, well, folks, if you've enjoyed looking at and listening to the chiseled jaw of this fabulous, fabulous theater trained superstar who is, man, if you could, I kind of like promote your show because it's going to be over by the time this comes out. But yeah, by the time it comes out, yeah, you'll be on the West End. Yeah, most certainly.
Who knows? That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Come and see Garry Starr Classic Penguins wherever it is in the world at that point.
Yeah, at the West End. Oh, and that giant like Vegas dome thing. Yeah, we'll just project you onto that. Just your dick. Just
We're going to be in the Big Purple Cow in Edinburgh this year.
Oh, you're doing the underbellies?
Yeah, the Big Purple Cow.
Oh, man, we might be in the Big Purple Cow as well. Maybe we'll come
that's cool.
check you out. Oh, yeah. Well, hang on a second. I'm supposed to be signing off. This guy's got to go have a siesta. Everybody out there looking at and listening to this podcast, please go subscribe to the Dingus and press the like Dingus. And if you want to be a patron like Tone, we got a patron. We got this one guy called Tone. He's great. I sent him pictures of like, my nipples and things. It's he deserves it. He's worked hard.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. He works hard for the money that I don't know what he does. I get this weird idea he's a pharmacist. I don't know that's the thing. It's my headcanon. Anyway, Jesus, shut the fuck up. Right. Hey there, everyone. You've been watching Onwards to Victory. My name's Magnus Danger Magnus. The fabulous Damien Warren Smith is right there looking fantastic. And yeah, that's it. That's it, right? That's all the things you got to say. Bam. Hey, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Yeah. Wow. Ping wing.